me, Ben?
Yeah,
Cool.
one second. Can you hear me?
Yep, got you. Beautiful. Thank you.
Alright, I can hear you a little bit.
Oh, yeah, it's a little low.
Yeah, it seems your voice, it sounds kind of low
Okay.
from you.
Alright, as long as you can make me out a little bit. It's not like it should get too loud in there. Some rowdy fans. I'll be back on in a sec.
Still can't hear you.
No?
Nah, I can hear you a little bit.
Okay. I'll talk loud.
Hey, Mike. Oh, you can't hear me. Hey, Mike, you want me to... Mike?
Okay. Alright, you are up.
Oh, okay. Hey, Mike, can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yep, I got you.
Okay, I can still hear you a little bit, but
Okay.
you want me to just stay in this,
Yeah, where you are right now is fine.
Alright.
Looks like professors should make their way in shortly. this banner is coming in. You can follow that in once you get it. Get eyes on it. Yeah, follow this banner up the stage. I think it should go up the stage.
Hey, Mike, just stay like this.
Try and follow the. You can follow the banner up the stage.
All right.
Yeah, you can make your way up to the stage. All right, you're back up.
Good.
Yep. Yeah. Just let all these professors walk through you.
Yeah. Do you want me to?
You're clear right now. You can swing around back over to the podium.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the commencement ceremony for VCU School of Medicine's class of 2017.
Go to the podium. The speaker.
I'm Dr. Christopher Wolleben, Associate Dean for Student Affairs, and at this time, would you please turn your attention to the American flag as the Monumental City Winds plays the national anthem.
Sure. Pan up. Perfect. There's good.
You may be seated. It's my distinct pleasure and privilege to introduce the Dean of the School of Medicine, the Honorable Peter Buckley.
Good afternoon, everybody. Chris, I don't think the microphone is working. Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, we're good. We're good. I was going to say to you, please enjoy yourselves, but it looks like you're having a lot of fun already. This should be a great afternoon. And I would ask the class of 2017, please to rise. Turn and clap your family, your relatives, and your friends for getting you here today. Thank you. Please take a seat again.
Now, you can go tighter on him.
Like your relatives and your friends and your families, we are immensely proud of you, and we're also immensely proud of the great faculty that is seated behind you. This ceremony we hope you'll enjoy, but also if you're not here today, many of our colleagues will be joining by live stream, and so this is a pivotal event in the life of a medical school and has been at this school since 1838. So we're very glad that people are able to listen and join in by live stream. And you will also see that there are monitors there that you can see clearly the events as they unfold. It is a real privilege for me to introduce also an alumnus of this medical school, the Senior Associate Dean for Medical and Education and Student Affairs, Dr. Susan DiGiovanni. Susan?
I too want to welcome the graduates, the family and friends of our graduates, faculty and guests. This is truly a glorious occasion where we celebrate both an end and a new beginning. I would like to start the ceremony with a poem from an anonymous author. While the poem references a Judeo-Christian God, I hope that you will realize that the sentiments ring true regardless of what your personal beliefs are. In scanning this great earth, God's eyes did fall upon a multitude of needs, a very sad phenomenon. As many were the souls in need of much repair, and yet no one was found to do this type of care. In God's own giving way, his hand was placed on you to intervene in love, for in his heart God knew your role would be endowed with skills that would achieve a healing in each heart as pain you would relieve. Our God was pleased above to see compassion flare, the tender touch you gave to those under your care. And high above this earth a tribute did appear upon a scroll of gold as God's own souvenir. The souvenir was placed inside a crystal frame and hung above the stars for angels to proclaim. The truth in all these words found written on this scroll, a doctor's roll was made. The doctor's roll is a very special roll. You will be privy to the happiest and the saddest moments of your patients' lives. You will form a bond with your colleagues that will last a lifetime. You will serve as role models in your community. While I'm sad to see an ending of your time with us as students, I'm proud and happy to welcome you as my colleagues into a profession that I've loved for more than 30 years.
I hope you enjoyed a program that has been available to each of you, and please take one home with you. But I also want to take the opportunity to directly introduce the platform dignitaries. And you've already heard on the left from Dr. Christopher Willeben, who's Associate Dean for Student Affairs. Dr. Jerry Strauss is our commencement speaker, and you'll hear about Jerry's remarkable accomplishments just before his speech. You heard from Dr. Susan DiGiovanni, who's Senior Associate Dean for Medical Education and Student Affairs. Dr. Michael Ryan, who's Assistant Dean for Clinical Medical Education and Assistant Professor in the Division of Hospital Medicine. Dr. Lelia Bridiger, who's Assistant Dean for Curriculum. Dr. Pimra Sethan, who's Assistant Dean of Student Affairs for Financial Aid. Mr. Darrell Griffith, Senior Associate Dean for Finance and Administration and Executive Dean of our practice plan. Dr. Betsy Ripley, Interim Senior Associate Dean for Faculty Affairs. And then at the back row, beginning with Dr. Brian Abroth, who is Associate Dean and Director of Graduate Medical Education. Dr. Craig Sheftas, who's Associate Dean for Medical Education at our Inova campus. Dr. Greg Trimble, who is Assistant Dean for Faculty Development, also at the Inova campus. Dr. Michael Donnenberg, Senior Associate Dean for Research and Research Training and Professor of Internal Medicine. Dr. Ross Mickelson, who's Professor in the Department of Radiation Oncology and is one of the hooders for the MD PhD students, as you'll see shortly. Dr. Samantha Bury, who is Assistant Dean for Student Affairs at the Inova campus and also a hooder for the Inova students this afternoon. Dr. Alicia Freedy, who's Assistant Dean for Curriculum and also a hooder for the Inova students. And Dr. Greg Galladay, who's Medical Director and Associate Professor in the Department of Surgery and an honorary hooder for the class of 2017. And lastly, but by no means least, is Dr. Fidelma Rigby, who's Associate Professor in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, is Clerkship Director for the M3 OBGYN Clerkship, and also honorary hooder for the class of 2017. Now, in addition to these really remarkable individuals as our faculty, we also have student marshals that are currently on the floor with our students, and these are our class marshals for 2017, and they include Dr. Michelle Whitehouse Cook, who's Associate Dean for Admissions, Dr. Donna Jackson, who's Assistant Dean for Admissions and Director of Student Outreach, Dr. Alan Doe, who's Assistant Vice President of Health Sciences and Associate Professor for Internal Medicine, and Dr. Enrique Gertzes, Emeritus Professor of Pathology and Co-Director of the Paleopathology Research Laboratory. I can assure you this school has a remarkable faculty, and these are just some of the great individuals that have brought this class along to today's terrific event. So please acknowledge our wonderful faculty. And you can also learn more about their accomplishments in the convocation program. Now I'd like to turn back to Susan to move us with our MD PhD candidate. Susan, thank you.
So the School of Medicine is proud to present our students who have completed their requirements in our MD PhD program. Would the following students please stand? Lauren Falgosa Cooley, Timothy Kegelman, Bridget Quinn, and Julie Anna Suyama. Lauren Cooley will receive her PhD in Clinical and Translational Science, Cancer and Molecular Medicine. Her advisor was Dr. Daniel H. Conrad. Timothy Kegelman will receive his PhD in Human Genetics. His advisor was Dr. Paul Fisher. Bridget Quinn received her PhD in Human Genetics, Molecular Biology and Genetics. Her advisor is also Dr. Paul Fisher. And Julie Anna Suyama received her PhD in Pharmacology and Toxicology. Her advisor was Dr. Sidney S. Negus. Would you please give them a round of applause? You may sit. It's my distinct pleasure to announce the recipient of the A.D. Williams Scholarship Award. This award is given to the student who achieved the highest cumulative GPA during the M3 year for the class of 2017. This year, we had a tie. So will Lauren Fagosa Cooley and Nicholas Andrew Leverone please come to the stage to receive your awards?
Cool. Yeah, get them up on stage. much, yep.
Now, these two amazing individuals are also the recipient of the Dean's Award for Outstanding Academic Achievement for the class of 2017. This award is given to the students who achieve the highest cumulative GPA during all 4 years of medical school. Both of these are your class valedictorians, and join me in congratulating them. All right, I will now turn the program over to Dr. Buckley.
It's an immense pleasure for me to have the opportunity to introduce our convocation speaker. And it is none other than the immediate past dean of the medical school. Dean Strauss led the school for the longest serving dean in modern era, becoming dean in 2005 and just recently stepping down, although great for our medical school, still on faculty. Dean Strauss also served as Executive Vice President for Medical Affairs of the VCU health system. By any measure, Jerry had a spectacular tenure as Dean of this medical school, and all of us would be welcome in our jobs to be able to leave it substantially better than we found it, which is exactly what you did, Jerry. Congratulations on a terrific tenure. During Jerry's leadership, the research portfolio of the medical school grew by more than 37% to almost $130 million in research. In particular, also in 2010, our medical school and our university becoming one of 60 in the country to have a Clinical and Translational Science Award from the National Institute of Health, a $20 million award. And in addition to that, Dean Strauss also established almost a dozen other centers, institutes, and also made key collaborations with other schools, most notably the School of Engineering, where we have developed an Institute of Engineering and Medicine under his leadership. So in addition to those stellar accomplishments in leading in research, Jerry also led groundbreaking progress in education. Our class size grew from 184 to 216, and in 2013, Jerry oversaw the opening of the McLaughlin Medical Education Center, an extraordinary building that is the envy of most medical schools in the country. And in that building, under his direction and with Sue Di Giovanni's and this great faculty's leadership, we've instituted a new curriculum that is changing the very way that medicine is taught, with emphasis on team-based learning and individual problem-based learning. And we're particularly proud that this is the first class to graduate under that innovative system. In addition to giving to the medical school, Dean Strauss also flourished in our philanthropy, and some $352 million came to the medical school and the Massey Cancer Center under his leadership, including 30 new professorships and endowed chairs during that time period. As I mentioned earlier in this year, Dean Strauss stepped down from the role of dean, but as such an accomplished investigator, we're delighted that he's remained on faculty, and his activities, both as a researcher, but in particular his role as dean, will forever positively change this medical school. And so it's a great honor for me, and thank this class for selecting as its commencement speaker, Dr. Jerry Strauss. Jerry?
Thank you, Peter, for that generous introduction. It's a tradition. Class of 2017, thank you for the privilege of giving this year's convocation address. It's very meaningful to me because you're the first class that has graduated unscathed by the new curriculum. Your officers, your class officers, asked me to speak about resilience, and that is one tough gig, let me tell you. In some 40 years of being a medical educator, I've witnessed exceptional acts of courage and dedication by medical students and their families who have overcome incredible obstacles as immigrants, minorities, women, financial misfortune, family tragedies, and catastrophic illness. They embody the resilience that I should be speaking about, and I stand in awe of their accomplishments. And then, of course, there are the patients and their families that I've encountered during my career who also face devastating diseases. I can't do justice to their stories and would never attempt to speak for them on the topic of resilience. They could teach us all. Well, I could have done some research into the topic of resilience in physicians, and as you know, there's a growing literature in this area, particularly about the depressing phenomena of physician burnout. Not a happy topic to discuss with a graduating medical school class. And anyway, you'll be pleased to know that I didn't do any research on that topic and chose to take the advice of David Mamet, a friend of mine in high school, who tells actors to rely on their life experience in preparing for roles. Because, as he said, what else do you have? So you're going to get my life experience, not research. I want to talk about 3 lessons related to resilience that I was fortunate to have learned relatively early in life. I hope they'll be of help to you, or at least entertaining. So first, let me remind you that you are incredibly fortunate. You have wonderful careers ahead of you. At an amazing time when technology and big data can transform healthcare delivery and public health. I envy you because you will have the opportunity to shape the use of these powerful tools. You will have jobs that will compensate you well. Yes, you will be able to pay off your student loans. More importantly, you'll be respected and admired by your friends and communities for what you've done to earn the privilege of being a physician, except maybe for a couple of airlines who might not believe that you're a physician, or even worse. And when your career is over, you will be able to look back and reflect, I guarantee you, with satisfaction upon what you have done for individuals and for humanity. Not too bad. Even with the uncertain state of healthcare today and the potential concerns about what the future is for healthcare providers in the system. Now, I assume the topic of resilience was picked because of the challenging times we live in. And although today they may seem tumultuous, this is not new. So when I started medical school, Medicare was but 3 years old. It had had the same polarizing effect on organized medicine and society as the ACA. And organized medicine, the AMA, was dead set against it. There was also an unpopular conflict in Southeast Asia, and graduates were being drafted right out of medical school. No internship, no residency, to become general medical officers. Women and minorities were afterthoughts in the medical school admissions process. Urban communities were burning. Terrorism was on the rise, both in the United States and abroad. A vice president resigned in shame, followed by a president to avoid impeachment, who, by the way, while in office during his last year, took the unprecedented step of impounding the NIH funds to punish science. Sound familiar? Well, having survived the turmoil of that era as a medical student and resident, I can assure you that you too will make it through the current circumstances. guaranteed. So let me give you these 3 lessons, and my first one is equanimity. Sir William Osler, in his valedictory oration to the students and faculty of the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine in 1889, spoke of the virtue of imperturbability, to avoid being distracted from one's professional responsibilities by stress. He was talking about resilience back in 1889. Osler knew it as a virtue that is hard to learn and even harder to practice, but it is a virtue that physicians must have to avoid carrying their worries and their angst into the examining room, let alone back to their families. Although I had never heard of the word equanimity until I was in medical school, in retrospect, I had seen an example of it. My father, who was an internist, thinking back to my childhood, he clearly had mastered it. He was imperturbable despite a demanding solo practice. I suspect he knew that there was no way to hand that gift down to me. It had to be learned, and usually the hard way, which I did. I was the editor of my high school's newspaper, and when Alfred Hitchcock's movie The Birds premiered in Chicago, I received an invitation to send reporters to attend a pre-showing event where Mr. Hitchcock and the movie stars would speak. 2 students went to the event. Mr. Hitchcock was evidently inebriated. Birds that were used in the movie got loose from their handlers and were flying around the ballroom in the Ambassador Hotel. There were other mishaps as well. The reporters I sent submitted an article that they told me was faithful in terms of the description of the fiasco, and it was pretty funny. And so the piece was published in the next edition of the school paper. At the time, there was no faculty advisor/censor, and that was just about to change, because the Birds article was picked up by a syndicated columnist for the Chicago Sun-Times and distributed across the nation's press. Mr. Hitchcock, not surprisingly, was not amused, nor were his attorneys, who immediately descended on my school demanding an immediate retraction, financial reparations, and individual retribution, including the informing of the colleges where we had been accepted into this egregious and irresponsible act of defamation. I forgot how long it took to play out, but needless to say, it was an all-consuming worry until it was resolved, and it significantly affected my mental health. I had apocalyptic thoughts about the future. Had I killed my education? Had I brought financial ruin onto my family? A lot of sleepless nights. The matter was ultimately resolved, and honestly I forgot what it was, but I think it was a public apology for telling the truth, but so be it. And after that experience, I can tell you that I vowed that I would strive for equanimity, even though I had never heard the word. I knew what it was, and I knew it was important for anybody who takes a position of responsibility. Unfortunately, there is no one secret to achieving equanimity. The path to it, I believe, is very personal. It may be family, colleagues, friends, religion, meditation, yoga. For me, it's been careful reflection and, whenever possible, humor. Look, life sometimes takes you on bizarre journeys. Why not enjoy the ride? You have to admit that a bevy of Hollywood lawyers tormenting high school students in Chicago could have been the basis for a Hitchcockian horror movie, or at least a TV series comparable to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Lesson number 2. Remember, you don't know what you don't know. When I was in medical school, the highest aspiration of students was to train in internal medicine. It was the pinnacle of the medical hierarchy. Internists knew everything. There's no doubt about that. Rounds on the internal medicine service were cutthroat trivia contests. God help the resident or medical student who had not read the most recent New England Journal of Medicine or couldn't remember past issues dating back several years. The internal medicine residents were known to ferret out any interesting patient in the hospital, no matter what service they were on, and record unsolicited consult notes in the chart. And that was the era when the affectionate appellation for internal medicine house officers emerged: flea. The year that I would go into the match, I was invited to meet with the chair of internal medicine, Bud Relman, who would later leave Penn and become editor-in-chief of the New England Journal of Medicine. His vice chair, Sam Thier, who would later become chair of the Department of Internal Medicine at Yale and then president of the Institute of Medicine, would be present too. I had been summoned by internal medicine royalty, and I knew why. I was a junior year AOA, had exemplary USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 scores, and I had already published 8 peer review papers. I figured this was the sales pitch to become a flea. I went to the meeting expecting a hard sell because, in my modest opinion, I was hot tapioca. Well, it didn't exactly turn out that way. Dr. Roman congratulated me on my academic record so far, and then said if I wanted to be in his residency program, I needed to do 6 more months of internal medicine clerkships to convince him that I could take care of his patients. Well, that wasn't part of my timeline. Having already fulfilled all requirements to graduate from medical school, I wasn't interested in 6 more months, which would have put me off cycle, by the way, in terms of house staff training. I was going to finish my MD and PhD in 6 years, so I walked out of the seance with Dr. Relman, certain in my knowledge that I was not going to be a flea, and of course thinking that Relman and Thier were jerks. As it turned out, I did end up taking care of Dr. Relman's patients, since at the time, Penn OBGYN residents did 6 months of internal medicine. And it was then that I worked closely with the fleas and realized that my knowledge of medicine outside the domain of obstetrics and gynecology was a nanometer deep. I was in awe of the breadth and depth of their knowledge, the fleas, knowledge that I simply didn't have. Honestly, I didn't know squat about amyloidosis and multiple myeloma. Dr. Relman was absolutely right. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I've taken that lesson to heart, not to lack confidence about things that I do know about, but to always remember that there are things that I may not know. And you should always remember that, and you should beware of colleagues who have not learned this lesson. There is no room for amateur hour in medicine, even though America seems to be developing a high tolerance for it in other areas. Lesson 3. Have a passion and stick to it. When I started medical school, the dean at the time, Alfred Gellhorn, was a newcomer. He addressed our class on the first day of school with the words, "Welcome, colleagues." Gellhorn was a distinguished oncologist from Columbia University, but he had become very interested in health disparities in the United States and training a workforce that could address those disparities. Now remember the context. It's the late 1960s. A good portion of my class had been occupying the president's offices at universities across the country the year before, protesting about, well, you name it, they protested about it. Suddenly there was a dean talking about social justice, and that was energizing. But looking at our class, it was clear that there was a huge disconnect between his words and the reality with respect to gender equity. The class was maybe at most 10% female, and maybe at most 5% minorities. Consequently, my class engaged in a fair amount of protesting about institutional policies and national inconsistencies, and some of it was pretty much in-your-face stuff. So much so that the following year, Dean Gellhorn greeted the next new first-year class with the words, "Welcome, students." Students were no longer his colleagues. He gave up the deanship at Penn before I graduated, and for years I wondered whether our class's behavior had contributed to his relatively short tenure. That was a mistake. It wasn't true. It was university leadership who couldn't swallow Gellhorn's progressive views about healthcare and medical education. He left Penn, he went back to New York City to found the Sophie Davis School of Biomedical Education in the heart of Harlem, which trained mostly minority students for healthcare. He died at the age of 94, still working, no physician burnout for this gentleman, and he had presaged by almost 50 years the need to address inequalities in the American healthcare system and the need for a diverse medical workforce. A truly remarkable man who I'm sorry that I never got to know. I hold his exemplary career as a model of steadfast character and commitment to principles and passion. After my class grew up, so to speak, a number of them took on Gellhorn's vision and became leaders in the area of health disparities. I count myself among these who was influenced by his example. So with that, class of 2017, I wish you every success in your professional endeavors and personal lives. I hope that you will find equanimity in one way or another, be confident in your skills and cognizant of your limitations, and importantly, have a commitment and a passion that you can bring to fruition. Congratulations to you, your families, and your friends who have supported you on your way to becoming a physician. You do them proud, you do MCV proud. God bless you.
Terrific job. With a little gift. Jerry, those were great remarks. One of the really good things about commencement speech is nobody gets to ask you questions. Right. So, great job. Thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you. For those of you that have not been at a Hooding event before, there are a lot of traditions that symbolically make their way into an event like this. You've heard an excellent speech. You'll also hear recognition of class, as well as later on the recitation of the Hippocratic Oath. And one of the more pleasing legacy and traditions is to ask the class president for reflections as well as farewell to the class. And so it's a privilege for me to invite Yi Ree Park to the podium to give us some reflections on her class. Congratulations, Ms. Park, also on your leadership, which has been stellar. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. So my number one goal was to actually make it onto the stage and not trip. When I talked to Dr. Wolleben, he told me in all of his years of being here that no one has ever tripped. And you know, we're part of the new curriculum, so really anything could happen. Our day is finally here. It only took about 1,300 days since our white coat ceremony. And each of those days and the countless days leading up to this moment wouldn't have been possible without support of everybody that is here, especially those on the bleachers. Can we look around and give them another round of applause? Thank you for all the support that you've given us. And that you'll continue to give us in our most stressful, sleep-deprived, and hungry days, since those are coming during residency. And especially also to the faculty that are on the stage who have guided us since our first day in the Egyptian building. Thank you.
Yep. Now, it'll be her.
But most importantly, this day wouldn't have been possible without all of you, class of 2017. I had asked a lot of my peers on what to say during this speech. They said, don't start with the generic Webster's definition of commencement, or followed by a quote by a famous person. They told me to be personal, but not too personal, generic, but relatable. Some of them even offered their own speeches from middle school or high school for inspiration, or a speech from Spider-Man, the movie. I personally want to use the excuse that English is my second language to get out of it, but I'm still here today. So when I moved to Richmond 4 years ago, I was overwhelmed with fear and anxiety. I had moved about 2,000 miles away from my comfort zone. And to feel more confident, to prepare for that first day of class, I actually spent the countless hours doing the 5 chapters of reading that we were supposed to do. And even then, I was just thrown in, and I think a lot of us felt that way. We were starting the new curriculum, we were thrown in, not knowing any medicine. Not only did we not know how to use e-board, we didn't know what all the acronyms meant, TBL, PPS, PCM, OSCE. And we certainly never knew whether we had to use the Wi-Fi or the Ethernet cable. And that uncertainty sort of became the story of my time here in medical school. I never felt fully ready for that first standardized patient encounter, or to take step 1, or to read the chest x-ray in front of my team, or to start that first IV line. During my pediatric rotation, this adorable 6-year-old patient told me that I was shaking, which I was, when I tried to look into his ear for an ear exam. We also felt this uncertainty in life as in losing one of our classmates during our first semester. And we had to endure that pain again as another classmate lost one of their own. And this made us question life and death, and whether these emotions and struggles would ever disappear. But that uncertainty is really part of our growth. It's a crucial factor that will make us better doctors in this lifelong journey. We feel uncertain because we care about our patients, we care about the outcome, and now we understand that there's so much more at stake in everything that we do. During those times, I am thankful to have had all of you by my side, either cheering me or each other on with the utmost support. Each of us have passed through those feelings and have gained a piece of knowledge, an experience, and a millimeter of thicker skin. And let's be honest, if we really needed extra support, we had Dr. Wolleben, who would let us cry in his office, eat all of his M&Ms, or send him 100 emails about pretty much everything. During our time here at VCU, we have gone through a tremendous amount of growth. And although, unfortunately, Dr. Wolleben won't be there, and all of us would be trudging our own path through residency, we now have skills and experience to rely on as we move forward in our careers in medicine. After 4 years training, I now feel confident asking my patients about their social history, and I can encourage first-year medical students to not feel nervous about doing the same. I can do a complete history and physical without needing a checklist. I can navigate down the halls of the hospital from radiology to the OR and not get lost. I can identify the 5 W's of the common post-op complications, and when that baby tugs his ear during an exam, I know that he probably has an ear infection. But I'm still nervous about suturing, and that's okay, because there are many of you who are experts at that and so much more. And from what I'm told, the feeling of uncertainty will never end in our careers. But what the last 4 years have taught us is that we're capable of overcoming the fleeting moments of insecurities, continuing to grow, and become the phenomenal doctors that our family, friends, and professors know that we could be. Congratulations, class of 2017.
You good?
It's my distinct privilege to recognize members of the graduating class of 2017 who have a parent, grandparent, or great-grandparent who is an alumnus of VCU School of Medicine. Today, we are honored to have 9 legacy graduates. Would the following candidates for a Doctor of Medicine degree please stand up along with their family members who graduated from VCU School of Medicine when I call your name? First, we have Kimberly Irene Bowman, whose father, Dr. Randall Bowman, graduated from VCU in 1983. We have, thank you. Next, we have Julia Helene Crowley, whose father, Dr. Anthony Crowley, graduated from VCU in 1984. Next, we have Catherine Baird Hastings, whose grandfather, Dr. Henry Seeger, graduated from VCU in 1898. Her grandfather, Dr. Jacob McHugh, graduated from VCU in 1879. And her great-grandfather, Dr. Richard Michaud, graduated from VCU in 1937. We have Mary Catherine Keefe, whose mother, Dr. Kimberly Keefe, graduated from VCU in 1986. We have Evan Jacob Krause, whose father, Dr. Harry Krause Jr., graduated from VCU in 1986. And his grandfather, Dr. Harry Krause Sr., graduated from VCU in 1955. Next, we have Stephen Garrett Legg, whose grandfather, Dr. Quentin Legg, completed his residency from VCU in 1951, is represented by his father, Mr. William Howard Legg. Next, we have Philip Sasser, whose grandfather, Dr. Thomas Payne, graduated from VCU in 1931 and is represented by his mother, Mrs. Virginia Payne Sesser. We have Christopher Schreiber, whose father, Dr. Lane Schreiber, graduated from VCU in 1987. And last but not least, we have William Edwin Town, whose father, Dr. Alan Town, graduated from VCU in 1997. Thank you. The class of 2017 has faced many challenges along the way, being a first class to graduate under the new C3 curriculum, preparing for countless USMLE board exams, performing exceptionally well in the largest and most competitive residency match since the start of the NRMP in 1952. However, all of these challenges pale in comparison to one faced by the class just a few short months after the start of their medical education. You may note that there's an empty chair amongst the student body in the floor in front of me. Mohammed Ibrahim matriculated with the class of 2017 on August 5th, 2013. I remember meeting him on the first day of orientation. He approached me in between speakers, introduced himself and his sidekick Qasim, you'll hear from in a moment. He told me about some of the impressive work he had done on the VCU undergrad campus, including co-founding a nonprofit organization, United to Heal, that collects and distributes medical supplies for people in need across the world. He also told me about a peer advising program he founded, Emerging Health Leaders, that has helped countless aspiring healthcare professionals achieve their goals through mentorship and service, many of whom are sitting here today. He told me he wanted to meet me because I was going to be the person to help him continue such impressive work during his time in medical school. I'll never forget the phone call I received while attending the AAMC annual meeting in Philadelphia. Mohammed had experienced a sudden cardiac arrest. Sadly, a few short weeks later, he passed away. Though this was a difficult time for his family and classmates, I can say without a doubt that Mohammed's presence created a sense of unity amongst his classmates that I've never seen in a medical school class before. His legacy lives on today with countless medical students who collect medical supplies for United to Heal, donate their time to advise pre-medical students. I would like to invite Qasim Kazmi to come to the stage to receive a plaque to give to Muhammad's family who could not be here today. On this plaque reads a quote that Muhammad wrote in one of many of his online posts. Live your life for the good of humanity rather than for your own self. Leave a legacy that will last long after you're gone. Love, forgive, and treat everyone exactly as you would like to be treated.
Phew. I was feeling a little tachycardic when I walked up here, and I realized I'm in the best place for that to happen. It is my distinct privilege to have the opportunity to share with you a few words about our dear friend and classmate, Muhammad Shaban Ibrahim. I know for a fact that Muhammad would want us to smile and to laugh today on this most auspicious day and in the spirit of his memory. So I want to start by recalling a few funny memories that I had with Muhammad. In the earliest days of our undergraduate career here at VCU, absolutely, agree, that's great. She's ready. I remember every time Muhammad would give a speech, he always started by getting the crowd rallied up. And then after that, he would crack a goofy joke. And do you guys remember how Muhammad reacted to his own goofy jokes? Exactly, he would laugh hysterically at his own jokes. That always got everybody to giggle. But beyond that, he also had this funny habit that you might not know about. To give himself a confidence boost, even in front of a crowd, he would stop and kiss his biceps. I know you can imagine him doing that with his athletic build, and it made me feel very insecure because my biceps were pebbles compared to his boulder, but he had many unique characteristics, including his fiery passion to improve the community and the world around him and each and every person's life that he encountered on a daily basis. He had a warm and vibrant smile that we all vividly remember, but also he had a cool personality that was not only calm under pressure, but enthusiastic and excited for each and every day of medical school, despite its many stresses. In a few moments, I can't do justice upon all of his many characteristics, so I want to focus on one that is particularly pertinent for us today, and that is his incredible, bright, and enthusiastic outlook on life. Muhammad had this deep and bright appreciation for life, and he taught me a very important concept. He taught me that we should enjoy the journey and not just the destination. He helped me to realize that we are always too fixated on the future, that we lose appreciation for the current moment and where we are right now. For example, do you remember how hard you worked to get into medical school? Do you remember the day that you found out that you were admitted to medical school and the enthusiasm that you started this journey with? Where you wanted to serve each and every patient with humility and kindness. But those emotions quickly eroded away and were replaced by the stress of transitioning into our medical education, including the new curriculum and one stress that none of us anticipated, the Wi-Fi. But Muhammad was not just calm, he was excited each and every day. He had a simple and effective habit that he would stop and look back. When we were studying for a physiology exam, I was overwhelmed with stress, but he reminded me that this exam itself is a privilege. Because as blatantly obvious as it was, somehow I had become blind to the fact that we had achieved our dream of becoming medical students, and here we were. So my message to you is simple. We've heard it over and over again that residency will be difficult. Yes, we know this. But I hope not for a moment you doubt that you got into medical school, you got through medical school, you will certainly accomplish this next chapter in your life. But we cannot continue through life waiting on the end of every chapter. Because before we know it, life will pass us by and we'll have spent it waiting for tomorrow, which caused us to forget yesterday and what a privilege today and each and every day have been. So when residency gets tough, I want you to do what Muhammad did. I I want you to pause, stop, and look back. When you're exhausted and your medical student makes this mistake, stop and look back and remind yourself that you were in their shoes just recently. When you're tired after a long day and you're really regretting seeing that last patient, maybe because they're complicated, maybe because their family has a ton of questions, stop and look back and remember the incredible enthusiasm that you started this journey with. It's a simple yet incredibly effective strategy to simply stop and look back, and something that I think we can all work towards doing. It will help us to remember that instead of focusing on the light at the end of the tunnel, we need to change our outlook and realize that we're not in a dark hole with only light at the end of it, but rather, we're on a beautiful journey with light all around us. And we must remember, as Muhammad taught us, to enjoy the journey and not just the destination. Muhammad was a beautiful gift to our family, to our class. And I ask that you keep his spirit alive in your hearts and his inspiration alive in your actions with each and every patient encounter. Class of 2017, we've made it. And I want to thank you all for the incredible camaraderie that we showed in the past 4 years when we faced so many challenges together as a class. I also want to thank the graduation committee for this beautiful plaque that I'm honored to deliver to Muhammad's family, and I know that they're so grateful for. So I hope that you will now join me in giving yourself, Muhammad, and his family who is present in the stadium today, sitting back there, a thunderous applause for your many accomplishments and for Muhammad's spirit. I love you, and I love you, Muhammad Shaban. Give yourselves a huge round of applause. Thank you.
Okay, class of 2017, are you ready? It's with great pleasure that I present to you the graduates from the class of 2017. Dr. Woolabin and Dr. Buckley will present each student with a school pin as they enter the stage. Students from the MCV campus will be hooded by Drs. Gregory Gulliday and Fidelma Rigby, who were selected by the graduating class to be their honorary hooders. Students from the Inova campus will be hooded by Dr. Samantha Bury and Alicia Freedy, and Dr. Ross Mickelson will be hooding the MD PhD candidates.
Right where those two people are in front of you, these students will start coming. Yeah, you can pretty much stay with those two people because there are people who walk right in front of them. Yeah.
Masha Tavakoli Abasi. Megan Brooks Anderson. Faisal Aslam. Harnak Singh Bajaj.
Yep.
Colby Lee Barber. Benjamin Navid Barman. Jason Hawes Barnes. Jonathan Mapp Barrett. Sarah Elizabeth Berg. Varun Basan.
Yep. Yep.
Baba Queba Blankson.
Not exciting, but
Seta Barikian. Kimberly Irene Bowman. And a future doctor on the way, too. Bobby Karandeep Singh Rar. Congratulations, Bobby. Jacqueline Baker Britz. Karen Rebecca Brown. Trina Chakraborty. Mabel Chingy Chan. John Philip Chapman. Feroz Lee Shaban. Jennifer M. Chui. John Robert Coleman. Benjamin Xavier Collins. Lauren Fogosa Cooley. Blair Noel Costin. William Mason Krieger. Julia Helene Crowley. Mark Raymond Kuberly. Alejandra Michaela David. Michael James Dennis. Adrian Diaz. Jason Douglas Dole. Claiborne Wyckoff Downey. Perrin Avery Downing. David Christian Dwyer. Proud of you, buddy. Jasmine Hines Ebbott, who also has a little doctor-to-be on the way. Mark Ross Edelstein. Rachel Patricia Ehrman Dupree. Romulo Andre Salud Fajardo. Tatiana Fedorova. Christina Marie Fernandez. William Michael Ferris. Jenica Josephine Ferretti Galan. Vernon Joseph Forrester. Caitlin Alyssa Francoise. Ellen Michelle Gibson. Hannah Victoria Goldberg. Jonathan Brett Goodlow. Chris Shin Gorns. Andrew Joseph Green. Chase Grossclose. Christopher John Hagan. William Bonner Hall. Catherine Baird Hastings. Emmanuel Christopher Hogue. Scott Daniel Hirsch. Diane Denise Holden. Robert Grant Horton. Beverly Ann Wang. David Ryan Akeda. Louise Eng. Christopher Richard Jackson. Elizabeth Anna Jacob. Neant Amarish Jane. Sneha Jane. Jasmine Johal. Hei Sung Kang. Timothy Chandler Keating. Timothy Patrick Kegelman. Mary Catherine Keith. Walt James Kelly. Emily Kathleen Kirschner. Nasser Khatri. Either one. Kimia Kosarani. Emily Klubal Llewellyn. Nikhil Kalori. Merrick Douglas Kozak. Evan J. Krause. Michael Christopher Krause. Claire Isabel Lauer. Bonnie Gaman Lee. Joelle Eve Lee. Sounds like everybody from his hometown came. Stephen Garrett Legg. Nicholas Andrew Leverone. Celeste Elizabeth Lipcase. Christina Lozada. Angeline Luang. Andrew David Lyle. Rebecca Ann Maddox. Ian Lumaban Marpuri. Kathleen Atkinson Matthews. Lindsay Marie McKissick. Borna Mohabbatizada. Sina Mark Mostagimi.
None of these names are like in alphabetical order, like they're all over the place.
Sabrina Mukhtar. Olga Mutter. Raza Nabavizada. Montasir Alexander Natur.
No, I think they're
Bernard William Newman. Alexander Anton Nguyen. Michael Wang Nguyen. Lauren Marie Nuttall. Samuel Micah Orwin. I got the hard names and tripped on the easy one. Christopher Phillips Overton. Ross Christian Palanche. Darshan Nilaksh Pandya. Yiri Park. Nicole Snow Parrish. Michael Paul Pasick. Ekta D. Patel. Shreya Jagdish Patel. Pooja Sunil Patel. Erica Pritchard Peak. Andrew Gerard Percy. Cecilia Maria Perez. Betty Nauk Pham. There you go. Taylor Magruder Powell. Advaita Punjala. Bridget Ann Quinn. Praveen Raghunathan. Alexander Wade Rankin. Kayla Craig Redifer. Jeffrey Langland Rees. Jessica Ann Regan. Robert James Wrights III. Leonid Borisovich Reshko.
Three more rows.
Christopher Andrew, whoops, skip one, sorry, James Phillips Reynolds. Sorry. Now Christopher Andrew Riley. Maria Eleanor Magno Rivera. Laura Michelle Rothstein. Adam Michael Rudolph. Adam Yusuf Sadiq. Samay Sapal. Philip Sasser III. Christopher Joseph Scheiber. John Robert Schwab. Samuel Jamifa Sesu. Megan Elizabeth Schaefer. Matul Kitan Shah. Aditi Anu Sharma. Shashank Sharma. Yumna Ashraf Sharif. Osman Mudassar Siddiqui. Annika Singh. Shabeg Singh. Sarah Elizabeth Polly Smith. Ashvin Rakesh Sood. Jonathan David Sora. Chad Michael Spencer. Jason Andrew Stearns. Elizabeth Catherine Stewart. Cameron J. Sumner. Julie Anna Suyama. Yael Liza Tarshish. We have a bundle here. Marfe Ann Ortega Teague with baby Teague. William Edwin Town. Marc Antoine Tremblay. Alexandra Michelle Turek.
No, you good.
Adrian Elizabeth Uphoff.
Oh, okay.
Julia N. Velisis. Matthew Malone Wallace. Sarah Louise Ward. Jacob Alexander Wayman. John Brady Weeks. Rachel Elizabeth Wheeler. Ashley Nicole Williams. Ingrid Ann Wolfel. Jonathan Brady Wood. Grant Marshall Woodfin. Ryan Harold Wyatt. Megan Elizabeth Zapp. The INOVA students will be hooded by Dr. Alicia Freedy and Dr. Samantha Brewery. Shinya Salim Alan. Darian Andreas.
That was the last of the MCV people. This will be the INOVA, which is
Abram John Benham.
Yeah.
Daryl Alex Chang.
Yep. Yeah. Northern Virginia.
Annie Chen. Dole Dar. Shayna Lee Dooling. Tracy D. Fennessy. Maria George Haji Kiraiku. Grace Aileen Hickman. Hickam. Justin Hickman. James Michael Jarvis. Elizabeth Maria Jaworski. Manila Jindal. Kunal Kapoor. Sri Lakshmi Karaturi. Qasim Abbas Kazmi. David Leanda Lee. Janae R. Miller. Okay. Enrique Antonio Pascual. Isha Atul Patel. Neil Bharat Patel.
Yep, everyone. Get through this. He's on stage.
Nagma Pirsuarkis. Rashmi Neha Reddy. Priya Sabu. Lindsay Michelle Schleifer. Leah Rose Towarnicki. Congratulations. Justin Parwat Tuwadananurak. So I give you the class of 2017.
Yep, you're good. Go for it, Sean. Go for it, Sean. Yeah, go for it, Steve. Dude. Yeah. Good. All right, you're clear. Go back to the stage.
There's.
Wrap it up.
I'm so glad that you've enjoyed this event that is steeped in tradition. And one of the other traditions of an event like this afternoon is the Dean's remarks. And typically in tradition, these go on for 2.5 hours. But we're going to break with tradition this afternoon and be a little briefer. To the class of 2017, savor this very moment. This is a terrific opportunity. You have earned it amazingly, and each and every one of our faculty, our staff, our residents, and your up-and-coming students behind you are immensely proud of you, as well as very excited about the future that's ahead of every one of you. Having said that, you also need to remember that this is just another stage in the journey of continuous learning. And you will move on this time to be a paid trainee as opposed to be an unpaid medical student. This is good. But you are being paid both to provide care, but also to continue your learning. And it will be another part of your lifelong journey of learning. As you consider now who your teachers will be, and the great teachers that you've had at this medical school, remember also that your patients can be fantastic teachers. And so don't just ask them the rote questions about their illness, about medication. Ask them about their lives, learn from their experiences, and as you do, carry those experiences with you. They will embellish your competency as a doctor. And patients will say great things to you. They will thank you for your generosity, for your compassion, and for your acumen. Cherish those remarks, whether they are verbal or whether they are written. Cherish them throughout your career, because unfortunately, not every day in medicine will be a happy day, and you will be faced with morbidity, mortality, and crises. And the kind remarks of patients are good and will steal you along the way. Remember that being a doctor is not simply about competency. And really, you won't even be measured on your competency, clinical skills. You'll be measured on how kind a doctor you were, how compassionate a doctor you were, how much you showed you cared. Did you make that extra call? Did you follow up in the evening? Did you call the family? Did you go out of your way to help somebody? And that is what you will be measured on, and rightly so. And as you're measured in the clinic as a doctor, in society you will be measured as a leader. And so you need to be that leader. Society endows you with becoming a doctor, also becoming a leader in society. And so you need to be visible in the community, you need to be engaged in your community, and you also you are afforded a very special respect in society, and so you need to repay that respect and treat everybody just as you are so treated. The final remark, which is fantastic news because it is the final remark, the final remark is, do not forget your alma mater. Tomorrow, you will become an alumnus. VCU Medical School is a phenomenal medical school. It is so because of its great legacy stretching back to 1838, but it is so because of you of a class, and you will make our school even better. And we want to hear about you, and we want to remain engaged with you. So join the Alumni Association, become involved, and contribute either in the Commonwealth or wherever the next stage of your career takes you to. Contribute to the health and well-being of those communities and be great ambassadors for VCU School of Medicine. Congratulations once more to all of you. I'd like to ask anybody that is a physician I was going to say in the room, but in the auditorium, to stand, please. And our colleagues, the class of 2007, are not physicians yet. Tomorrow you will be. But I would like you to stand, and I'd like you to recite along with me the sacred oath of Hippocrates. So please stand.
Yep.
And please recite after me. I do solemnly swear by that which I hold most sacred, that I will be loyal to the profession of medicine, and just and generous to its members, that I will lead my life and practice my art in uprightness and honor, that into whatsoever house I shall enter, it shall be for the good of the sick to the utmost of my power. I, holding myself aloof from wrong, from corruption, from the tempting of others to vice, that I will exercise my art solely for the cure of my patients, and will give no drugs, perform no operation for a criminal purpose, even if solicited, far less suggested. That whatever so I hear or see of the lives of men and women, which is not fitting to be spoken, I will keep inviolably secret. These things I promise, and in proportions as I am faithful to this my oath, may happiness and good repute be ever mine. The opposite if I shall be forsworn. Again, class of 2017, please recognize your families, your relatives, your loved ones who have got you to this extraordinary moment in your lives and your careers. Thank you, relatives, families, for being with us today. And please thank Dr. Christopher Willeben and his team for such an amazing effort today. Thank you, Chris.
Great job.
If everyone will please stand and remain standing for the recessional.
You're good where you are. You can stay. That shot.
Go in peace, speak the truth, and give thanks every day. Respect the earth and her creatures, for they are alive like you. Care for your body. It is a wondrous gift. Live simply. Be of service. Be guided by your faith and not your fear. Go lightly on your path and walk in a sacred manner.